I think the internet allows us to have this conversation, which is awesome, and it allows us to put ourselves out there in the sense that, you know, we can put a video on YouTube and people can see it. I mean, obviously that then means that everyone can do it, which results in oversaturation, right? So people that want to be heard and seen. So it's difficult in that respect because it kind of balances out, right? Like you get the opportunity to be seen everywhere, but everyone wants to do that. So that's difficult. The physical distance is just costly. Yeah, I mean, period.
It's actually like even just touring it, like, because we're in the worst part of Australia as well. Like Perth is actually the most isolated capital city in the world. And we are like 5-hour flight away from the East Coast. So we don't have the luxury of like, oh, let's just get a tour bus and drive around Australia, because it would take us like...
It's about a day and a half drive to get to Adelaide, which is the nearest capital city.
And that's only like down here. You're talking like probably about a week to get over to the other side. I mean, you could do it on the East Coast, but even they've got some long drives as well. Like I think it's 10 hours from Melbourne to Sydney.
Driving Adelaide to Melbourne was 7 hours or 8 hours.
That's about right.
And then equivalent between Sydney and Melbourne and equivalent between Sydney and Brisbane. So the distances are huge. There aren't many cities, so it's not like America or Europe where you can drive 2 hours and you can legitimately play another show to brand new people.
And you feel like rested and relatively okay. Like, you know, if you plan the tour properly, it's only like the longest drive we had was like 6 hours, 7 hours. Most of them are pretty like 4 hours or 5 hours. You feel pretty good. You know, your driver does it at night time and then has a sleep during the day, and then you're ready to go again. So
I mean, we could do that exact same thing and have a driver and do the drive. It's just the fact that there aren't that many cities to play. There aren't that many locations. You can play regional shows, and that's all well and good. But
40 people.
But yeah, I mean, but you can't expect the same kind of turnout.
It's not going to be like the main cities are where you get your big turnout. So yeah, I mean, even touring Australia is like super expensive. It's not even that much cheaper. It's like slightly cheaper than touring overseas. It's actually kind of scary. Like you get the bill back after you booked all the flights and everything, and you're just like...
I mean, flights each $800 per person.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
Australian, and that's with good flights. So like factor that by 5, and you're looking at $4,000 for flights.
Yeah.
So.
And to think that you could just pay like another like maybe $4,000 and you're over in Europe and you can just hop on a bus and
go from there.
Or even a van. It's just...
That's what you're looking at in terms of money. And when you are in the United States, when you're in Europe, dollars spent per show played is way better.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's what makes it difficult.
I think Asia,
5 shows and that's it.
I think Asia's where we really need to sort of break next, because that's our close region for us to get into. So if we can do that, that would be good. I mean, think about that. Fly a few hours over to Indonesia or Singapore or something and do a couple of shows, rather than let's fly for 24 hours to America.
The travels though.
No, we don't love it, because we do. We love touring Europe as well, but it's hectic.
I'll eat pizza then.
You eat some pizza and I'll try and talk for a while. Over the years is just treating it like there is no difference between us, because there isn't. Is one area of work where gender doesn't actually make a difference in what you do. Like men can do it, women can do it. You know, what my anatomy is doesn't mean I can play guitar any better or worse than Scott, you know. You know, it's hard for a while. I can get these questions a lot, and you know, I think it was important many moons ago to discuss that and shed light on it, and you know, encourage women to not feel afraid to get out there and play. But I sometimes worry these days that you know, separating it and, you know, having like all female shows. You see people do festivals that's, you know, all female fronted, or you know, having a features on all best women, whatever, drummers or guitarists or whatever. I feel like that's actually making out like there is a difference nowadays. I think we need to stop doing that. I think we need to just be like, cool, it's a guitarist, and it doesn't really matter whether they're a woman or a guy or transgender or whatever the hell you are. You're just doing your thing. And it's a sad fact that, yes, the genre of music that we're playing is more male-centric. It's aggressive and fast and heavy, and I can understand why a lot of women might not want to be into that and may feel intimidated. I mean, I basically had a massive chip on my shoulder when I was a kid, and I was aggressive and unhappy, and basically was like, would walk into like someone would like try me out for a band, and I'd be like, oh, I can show you these guys, and I'd like plug in and play like 6 billion notes. I felt like I had to do that because you did have that stigma back when I was like, oh yeah, because that you did. I had bands that were kind of like, oh yeah, when I would like say to try out, because they think women equals bad for some reason because there's not many of us there. So I was like an angry teenager when I was young, and now I don't really care so much. I still get a lot of sexist comments every now and again, and I try and just sort of brush it off with humour and try to make the person look like an idiot. It really, really captures, for those that say, oh, women don't get discrimination in the music industry, that's, you know, women have got equal rights now. Well, this is my story, and this was when we did the V album launch tour in Sydney. So this was only 3 years ago. A guy came up to us at the merch desk after the gig, and he said, oh, yeah, so my mate, like, you know, he showed me this in the car on the way here because I never heard you before. And he was cranking it. I was like, man, you couldn't even tell it was a woman playing the guitar, eh? And I just laughed because I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. How can you hear an instrument and go, oh, that's a man playing? Yeah. Or I mean, that's a woman playing? Or, I mean, I get that he was trying to compliment me, but it was like really offensive, actually, what he was saying.
There are people that are that stupid.
Oh yeah, and I used to get it all the time when I worked in a music store. Like, people wouldn't want to be served by me, and it still goes on. And it's like, it's 2017. You'd think like
people would get it by now.
And there's a lot more women out there now. And it's funny, like we talk about it, like contemporary music, like pop music. There's more women than men that are like topping the charts. You know, Beyonce, Lady Gaga. Guys are like dominating the men in the pop, but for some reason it's a weird thing when it comes to like heavier music. You know, I've never been one of those kind of like prissy sort of girlies. It's never been me. I've always been a tomboy, and you will not get by if you're going to be, you know, fussy on tour as a woman. You can't be like, don't look at me while I get changed, or
again, I think that's genderless. I think that's totally genderless. I think it doesn't matter if you're a prissy woman or a prissy man.
Yeah.
I think you just don't put up with bullshit when you're on tour.
You just have to.
Again, it's not relevant to gender.
No, it's like, people used to ask me like, what's it like being on tour with the guys? I'm like, exactly like what it's like for them. We don't get to shower for like, you know, 5 days at a time. Wet wipes are your best friend. Like, that's basically your shower. Deal with it. You are going to see each other practically naked because you have no personal space. And, you know, you're just like family, so it doesn't bother you. It was funny, like, when we were on tour with the Leprous in Australia, they came backstage at one point. It was Sydney, and I had my shirt off. And they were like, oh. And I'm like, dude, I'm just one of you guys, like, just whatever. And then they're like, oh, sweet. And they're like taking their pants off. And like, I think they realized like, oh yeah, she's right. It's not any different. You know, her walking around in a bra is the same as me walking around with a shirt off. It's not any different. Or, you know, because you get changed in front of each other. So they were like, oh yeah, it's fair enough. And then suddenly the barriers were gone, and we're all just like, you know, you're walking around on the bus with our jots on and stuff like, hey! You're not like a rock star, you know, no one's going to do anything for you. You got to do it yourself. So I think you have to have thick skin, no matter whether you're a man or a woman.
Obviously, being a man, I'm experiencing this differently, but I think the approach to getting more women involved in this style of music, which obviously anybody with half a brain would want that, right? I think the main premise of it is if someone feels like they're not doing what they want to do based on their gender, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's what we should be combating. Like, it's not really about, to me, it's not about meeting a quota. I don't think that there's, realistically, if we just eliminated sexism, I don't think that there would be one man to every woman in the metal scene. No. I really don't. I just don't think that would happen, it's right?
Not gonna happen.
And there's nothing wrong with that either. I think the only issue that you ever have is that when you actually don't get to do what you want to do because you're a woman.
Yeah.
That to me is the problem. You know, I don't agree with the idea that there should be X number of women on the stage for every festival or anything. I think it's a stupid approach because it's a back-end approach. Yeah. It's not targeting the actual issue, which is we need to get these people on the stage to begin with.
And I think that problem is what I was saying before. It's that stigma. It's the not feeling comfortable. It's made to feel like that you're not as good or you're not wanted there. And look, it's a lot better than it was. Like, I say this all the time in interviews. Like, when I was first starting out, it was atrocious. And I think I was actually one of the only females playing in Perth. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was a lot worse back then. And I dealt with a lot of things. You know, I had people trying to, I was sexually harassed. I had people like grab my butt and stuff like that because they think they can just do that. And you're like, I'm quite feisty, so I'd just be like, what are you doing? Like, get away from me, But I can understand if you're not as confident or strong a person and someone does that to you, you would just be like, I am not doing this anymore. And, some people, that could be enough for them to walk away. So getting away from that old school mentality of it being a boys club is going to be the only way that you're going to see gradual growth, which we have been seeing, because I see more girls at shows as just even punters than I used to see. Like, it's way more than there used to be. It's sad that it's taking this long, but it's going to get there eventually. And a lot of it is the industry having to change the way it does things as well. I mean, Revolver Mag doing these hottest women in metal things, piss off. Like, why do we not just get a feature on us as who we are, how hot we are? I mean, you never see hottest men in metal. You don't see hottest men
playing guitar.
Come on, man. Like, no wonder we don't get taken seriously. Like, the industry and media as well has a lot to answer for. And that's fixed on both sides in order for it to move forward as a whole. So
I just think that there are right and wrong ways of doing it.
Yeah, definitely.
It feels to me like
forcing 10 bands with women at a show. No, it should be on your merit as a player, or as a band. This band is good and I want them to play.
I've never met a person in my life who has said, I don't really like this band because there's a woman in it.
Yeah.
So I think that there's definitely two sides to it. I think that there is some serious overreaction being done to try and fight the sexism as well, which I don't think is effective.
No.
So, we want to just basically allow people to do what they want to do, regardless of their gender. That's literally it, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, basically, Scott is lower than me. He is my slave boy. No. If
there's a part that's really hard, Simone does it. And if there's a part that's really easy, I do it.
You know when it's hard when Scott's playing because his eyebrow goes up. It's amazing. Just watch the playthrough video again, and there's one bit where he's like...
It's basically all the muscle work is here, just in this brow.
To me, I don't see us as being two separate entities. I think of, and how I've always felt about the band, and when I was always looking for people to play with us, I just wanted someone that was going to complement what I was doing and make it sound like one big awesome wall of guitars. It's actually only been since Scott's been in the band that I've truly, had that, we'll be writing something and one of us will go like, I might go, I've got this idea for the ending should go like this in the song. And then Scott would be like, yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. And we've both pretty much got the same idea and feed off each other and make it into like these awesome guitar parts. So I don't really label myself as much of a lead guitarist. Like I don't like shredding all the time. For me, it's got to complement the song and tell a story and follow what's going around. Like I'm a bit into big melodic solos that follow the melody line and what the song's doing and stuff. So I'd never just chuck. I think Scott's the same as well. We wouldn't just chuck a solo in somewhere for the sake of it. It's got to fit in there, and the song's got to, ask for it. And you'll notice there's not like a hell of a lot of solos on this latest album, and the songs didn't need it,
I think we do have a pretty unique relationship in terms of how we both approach guitar, because I think we are very similar. I can't think of a single time where we've come up with something as separate players that might be different parts and gone, oh, I don't really like your part in this.
No.
I don't think that's ever really happened. That is reflective of how cohesive we are as players and in terms of ideas we have in our head. Yeah, I mean, we just don't have those discussions.
No, it's either that's sick or, oh, why don't you do this on that bit? And then, oh, that's even sicker.
It's either we agree that the idea is good as is, or we'll go, how's about this? And then we go, great. Yeah. Even better.
Which is pretty much how we wrote all the guitar parts for this record. It was, very collaborative with the whole band as well. I mean, even Ash came up with I see the rhythm bit for the next riff going like this. And we're like, oh yeah, that's cool. Because he's not really much of a note player, but he can envisage how he sees beats going and things like that. So, and we even told him could you just have more open hats on that bit? So it was very collaborative. We were actually just saying that, man, this is going to be the hardest album for us to sit and work out percentages for writing because it would start off with one person's riff or idea, and then the whole band literally just kind of chipped away at it and turned it into the song that it was. So
I think one of the only times there was us collaborating on your solo for Lifeline.
Yeah,
the Lifeline solo was kind of a collaborative thing between me and Simone. And I think the only other thing that was a dual part, which I wrote, was little lead bit in Fragile Serene.
Yeah.
Well, you wrote that last
end bit.
Yes, you had this end point that was awesome, and I was like, man, all for it.
And you had a beginning, and then you wrote the rest of it.
Every step of this process there's no ego involved at any point. It's just we listen to each other and go, is that a good idea? Is there anything that we can do that's better? If not, then we go, sweet. I don't know what other bands are like, but there's no competitive mindset here. We just do what Simone said before. We just complement the song.
It's funny as well because there were points where we kind of come up with an idea in the jam room, and Danny might do something, and me and Scott that's a bit shit. And he'd be like, all right. I
think there's a little bit in the back of Danny's head that goes, that was worse than I thought it would be.
Yeah. Sometimes he gets a little bit cut that we do that, but other times he goes, yeah, you're right. That was really shit. Actually, the funny thing was when we were writing Disconnected, we had the beginning, we had this, Danny and Alex wrote the heavy bit at the start, and then I came up with the kind of the next two riffs, so kind of, should it come down and be mellow? And we just couldn't get it to work. And we had the end section, but we just couldn't piece it together. And then me and Alex had to leave, and these guys basically just went, what if we just take those chord progressions and make it heavy? And ended up making it into a really good song. I came back, I'm like, that sounds way better than it did when it was clean and meandery crap.
Songwriting is problem solving a lot of the time, because you'll hear an idea, and if you like it, you go, cool, tick that box. Yeah. And you go, where do we go from here? And you write something and you're like, that's not quite hitting the mark. Why not? And you go through your standard kind of troubleshooting process until you find something that works.
I think it was Alex was missing, and he had that bass riff for As the City, and he wasn't at a rehearsal, and we were like, we should probably finish that song off. And then I was playing the rhythm slightly differently to what Alex had written, and then it ended up being Danny was like, can you just put those two together? So just change it the second time. And a mistake ended up becoming a better riff idea. You know, we wanted to work on the rest of the song and write it. And
but yeah, it's interesting. There have been points where there have been full band collaborations, and then there are other points where we would kind of split off into splinters, and like there'd be three of us jamming an idea. And having sometimes too many cooks in the kitchen is definitely a thing that happens.
I think especially because you can get kind of, you know, 2 or 3 people might be productive and the other 2 are just sort of like, it kind of works that way. But when it is all 5 of you and you're feeding off each other, it's amazing. I think like Ghost Mole was written with the whole band. The dismay of Alex and Ash, me and Danny coming up with the black metal section. I don't know. And then we did it and they're like, wow, that sounds sick.
In rehearsal, we're all like sweating.
Yeah,
it's
like, so hard. We're all like, long story short about songwriting.
We just really like what we do.
Yeah.
So
if you like what you do, it's easy to talk about it. And all right, guys, we'll give you to it. Thank you.